Hi everyone. Over the past 2 weeks, so many members of the community have asked me what happened. The short answer is I don't know. The long answer is in the rest of the video.
This is hard. We have an all-star slate of candidates, stellar, I might add. It really speaks volumes about how much folks care about our schools and the type of individuals we have living in our community. I mean, I was just recapping in my mind, there's so many strengths that everybody brings to the table. We have past district administrator, we have parcel tax oversight lead, we have several committee members from parcel tax and leaders. We have a long-term school board meeting attendee and community volunteer, 2 former foundation presidents, applicants with actual school board experience, and volunteers with amazing track records of service. There's so many strengths. I wish we could take them all. It's also great, I think, on behalf of all of us to see so many great emails and text of support from the various community members about the candidates they were hoping to see. I'll be honest, quite frankly, I don't think we anticipated having so many candidates apply, which puts us in our situation today is how do we figure this out? And
I think we are very, very fortunate to have such a wealth of candidates who have applied to help us out in this difficult time. It's absolutely nothing short of incredible, the breadth of experience and expertise and skills that they bring to the table. And same thing as you mentioned, the number of emails and text messages. And I always try to return emails and text messages, but I know there have been an outpouring from the community supporting various candidates and other candidates. And I think that's just phenomenal, the level of involvement and concern that our community has about the school board and our schools. And it's yeah, especially in these challenging times, it's heartening to know that there is such an outpouring of concern and care for our schools. And I think that when I said that emails and texts about the candidates, it also realized that we do have an election coming up in November, and in a lot of ways, a lot of what I've been receiving felt sort of like campaign candidacies. And I think that's good. I think it's good that we have so many people who have expressed an interest and expressed an interest in carrying on. And I think that, as I've said all along, I think every time we have a good, robust discussion of the issues, it benefits all of us. We make a better, well-informed decision if we make a decision that's based on as much public input as possible. So I just have to echo and appreciate all the candidates and everything that they brought to us and all the thoughts they've shared and all the issues they've raised. So very much appreciative of that.
This is really tough. I mean, I am so thankful for the engagement of the community. We obviously have a community and members in our community, our school community, as well as the larger community in La Cañada, that's really committed to the schools and making sure that whoever is present as a board member is engaged and involved and knowledgeable. We also have 10 amazing candidates with a wealth and a breadth and a depth of experience and exposure to not just the district, but the community at large, because the school district and the community are intertwined. So it's important to be able to understand the nuances of both and how they connect and are separate, etc. So I know 8 out of the 10 candidates personally. And so I think it's imperative that we make a decision that's going to be the best for the district.
I mean, I've been blown away. We have 10 amazing candidates, real extraordinary group. I think I've learned something from every one.
During the communications portion of the April 28th board meeting, Ellen Multari announced her resignation from the board, effective May 31st.
To share that my family will be moving away from La Cañada in May. And as such, board rules require that I step away from my position as I will no longer be a resident of the city of La Cañada. So effective the end of May, I will be stepping down from my role as governing board vice president.
And believe me, Dan and I, up to the 11th hour, we're trying to find some clause that we could dig up that would allow you to stay a little bit later, finish this term out because you're so valuable. And we have so much to still work on the remainder of this year. But
at the next board meeting on May 19th, the board included agenda item 10F to address the process and directions to staff for filling Multari's vacant seat. May 19th agenda item reads, process and direction for filling the unscheduled vacancy on the LCUSD governing board. It is recommended that the governing board take action to approve a process to fill the pending vacancy of Mrs. Maltari's seat on the board. Following the board action, staff requests direction to follow the application and interview process identified.
The impact of this change, besides losing a great board member, we have to think about how to find a replacement. We have a lot of important business to do the rest of the way of this school year. And so that takes us to 11F, which is our process and direction for filling this unscheduled vacancy for Ellen. So let's transition to that. And Wendy, I'll turn it over and we'll communicate what our plan is to replace Ellen. She's not replaceable, but to find someone else to help us the rest of the way.
Okay. So our tribute leads us to the practical realities of succession planning. And as I just shared, with Ellen moving out of the district residency boundaries and resigning her board member seat, we will have an unscheduled vacancy. The process to fill the vacancy must be determined. So that's what the board would take action on tonight. The governing board has 60 days from the date of the vacancy to either make a provisional appointment or to order an election.
After Wendy and the board discussed the timeline and process for making the provisional appointment, 2 public comments were received on the agenda item, one from parent Kelly Davis. It is included because our public cares and because this comment is a demonstration that our public wanted a 5th board member added to the board.
The first one is from Kelly Davis. I'm writing to you about the timing of the selection process for the new school board member. Is it possible to shorten the timing? Anyone who has been engaged in district business and would be qualified to join the board already knows a vacancy is coming up. In these extraordinary times, I hate to see your team down a person through the entire month of June. My suggestion would be, if you need to inform the community of the position, send something out via the constant contacts or other official school channels rather than another newspaper ad. Accept applications for 2 weeks until June 3rd, interview and provide a decision by June 2nd. I know that isn't much different than what you have, but I imagine having a 5th fully functioning board member by mid-June would be quite helpful.
The next clip is the actual vote to adopt the process for the provisional appointment. The vote was 5-0 in favor of the provisional appointment.
Do I have a motion to adopt the process we laid out with those subtle tweaks?
So move.
Do we have a second? Can Ellen, might be her last official sec now.
You go, Ellen.
Ellen,
I
second.
vote how I get replaced.
Yes.
You got it.
To the end of this meeting, you can.
Hey, good luck, guys. Good luck.
Okay, then all in favor.
I don't think I want to vote in favor, but I'll vote.
All in favor of replacing Ellen. No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we got it. Thank you all. It's a difficult topic, but we know we got to move forward on it. So,
during the communications portion of the 6-9 board meeting, Wendy informed the board that she had prepared 1, the public announcement of the vacancy, and 2, the process the board intends to follow. There was also a discussion of the planned post-interview process.
Yes.
yeah, that's exactly what's running through my head. And we've all been participating on interview panels with the district. I really like their process in terms of the iterative way they review and re-rank, things like that. So I think we want to leverage those tools.
And the public posting has gone out in the city's newsletter. It'll be in the Outlook tomorrow, and then it's physically posted at the district office, the high school, and City Hall.
On June 16th, the board conducted interviews with the following applicants: Todd Royal, Donna Robinson, Emily Woods, Anna Kurtz, James Anderson. On June 17th, the board conducted interviews with the following applicants: Kelly McWilliams, Carolyn Anderson, Andrew Blumenfeld, Belinda Randolph, Josh Epstein. The agenda item was directions for filling the unscheduled vacancy on the LCUSD Governing Board, interview guidelines and procedures. The Governing Board is requested to conduct the interviews for the vacant seat on the LCUSD Governing Board, engage in deliberations following the interviews, and take action via a roll call vote to appoint a candidate to the position.
Began, I really think we need to hold off and really allow for the citizens of the Unified School District in La Cañada to make the decision in November. There are 10 amazing candidates, and I would hope we would see majority of them running, but I actually am moving towards allowing for the seat to remain vacant and then allowing the citizens to vote. I think democracy is extremely important, especially in light of the fact that we have 10 applicants. How could 4 of us choose one person out of 10 applicants? That's
Well,
my.
I think we are very, very fortunate to have such a wealth of candidates who have applied to help us out in this difficult time. It's absolutely nothing short of incredible, the breadth of experience and expertise and skills that they bring to the table. And same thing as you mentioned, the number of emails and text messages. And I always try to return emails and text messages, but I know there have been an outpouring from the community supporting various candidates and other candidates. And I think that's just phenomenal, the level of involvement and concern that our community has about the school board and our schools. And it's especially in these challenging times, it's heartening to know that there is such an outpouring of concern and care for our schools. And I think that when I said that emails and texts about the candidates, it also realized that we do have an election coming up in November, and in a lot of ways, a lot of what I've been receiving felt sort of like campaign candidacies. And I think that's good. I think it's good that we have so many people who have expressed an interest and expressed an interest in carrying on. And I think that, as I've said all along, I think every time we have a good, robust discussion of the issues, it benefits all of us. We make a better, well-informed decision if we make a decision that's based on as much public input.
Candidate who brings the best to the table now and for what we're looking for. And if we keep that in mind, then I think we're being true to the process. Okay, so I recommend that I'm going to bring forward to the vote on Keitzer's motion. Do you want to repeat the motion, Keitzer, again, just to be sure?
And let us compare that to Keitzer's motion.
My motion stands in asking us to keep the position vacant due to the large number of amazing applicants, and I really feel strongly that the citizens of the Unified School District of La Cañada need to make this decision in November.
And here is the vote from the actual board members.
Okay. Does your second for the motion still stand, Brent?
Yes, it stands.
Okay. So let's go through and do a roll call on this motion. Keitzer, you're on mute.
Sorry. Yes.
Okay. Dan.
And I respectfully and with all good intents and warmth for my colleagues have to say no.
Okay. Brent, I'm putting you in the spot.
Yes.
I say yes as well.
So what happened? During this discussion, many people were texting me questions about what was happening. Over the next couple of days, there were even more questions. On Saturday, June 20th, a community member posted a long thread with questions concerning this. There was also a petition asking the board to return to select an applicant, any applicant, and this petition received over 100 signatures. The thread was long and many topics were raised. My general summary is that the public did not feel that the board did their job, which the public believed was to appoint someone to the vacant seat. A number of attorneys also shared their legal expertise on this thread or via emails. Note, the Facebook group is La Cañada Flint Ridge Parents. Please join this group if you want to read any direct quotes from anyone. So was this a Brown Act violation? Deliberations will follow the final candidate's interview. The governing board's vote to appoint the candidate will take place in open session subsequent to the deliberations on Wednesday, June 17th. Instead of voting on this agenda item, Keitzer instead offered a motion that fundamentally did the opposite of the agendized item. One of the key provisions of the Brown Act is that each agenda must contain sufficient information to inform the public of what actions will be taken. There are specific content requirements of agendas, one of which is that the agenda descriptions cannot be misleading and you cannot use an overly general, item to take action that is fundamentally different than the item's description. I've included 2 case law examples for you to read at your own pace. Feel free to hit pause so you can read them. The public expected a vote on June 17th, and the board did the opposite. The board's own bylaws indicated that a vote was required, given that the board had already voted on the May 19th to go down the provisional path. The board shall interview the candidates at a public meeting, accept oral or written public input, and select the provisional appointee by a majority vote. The board did not even attempt to select the provisional appointee, and this is why most people signed the petition. The board represents the people and should consider what they want in their actions. Our system is democratic in that we vote for representatives, and in theory, our representatives vote on behalf of citizens to carry out the law. We expect the board to follow its own bylaws and to select the provisional appointee by majority vote. Is this normal? What actually happens normally in this situation? Option 1, other governing boards do nothing, thus forcing a special election. Option 2, other governing boards try to appoint an applicant but cannot reach a consensus on a vote. So what happened in LCUSD? The bylaws state that the board shall interview the candidates at a public meeting, accept oral or written public input, and select the provisional appointee by majority vote. The board voted on May 19th to start the provisional appointment process. They sent out public notices and an application. They received written applications from 10 applicants. They conducted interviews on June 16th and June 17th. And then they didn't even try to vote on the applicants. There is still time to convince the board to change their mind. They have time to schedule a special board meeting to select a provisional appointee by a majority vote. This is what the public wants. And you can email the board members or have your comments read during the Tuesday, June 30th board meeting. Thank you so much for listening to my video, and please feel free to ask me any questions you might have.